Ted Ryman, the first one on here, on my list at least. Joe Holtzman, Ted, of course, from Cape Town. Joe Holtzman in Colorado. Gordon Smith saying good evening from Denmark. Thierry de Jong down in SoCal. Greg Phillips from the Gold Coast of Australia. John Hanfield is in the Atlanta airport, not in his usual Newport, Rhode Island. Mark Wharton Reed from cold and windy, but not snowy Michigan. Pedro Foiling Sailor, a.k.a. Peter Stevenson. I'm here, but we'll have to watch and replay. He says he has a big day, lots happening.
Oh, great.
Banner in Connecticut. Worley saying hi to everybody from SoCal. Chris Fury in Melbourne as we get this one. 668 across the starting line. Hi, everybody. Another busy show, 668 for Tuesday, the 12th of December, 2023. We are live, as usual, from the Beach Street Yacht Club, Studio B. Welcome to all of you. Our cover slide today, Julie, you saw it this morning as well. Yes. The tragic news from Marina Del Rey. You used to live next door to.
I did. I lived right across from it, and I moved there about the time that it opened in 1960.
Yeah, this is the California Yacht Club, which overnight was gutted by a horrific fire. This is a photo from Sailing Anarchy this morning, early this morning, and several of you sent pictures. I appreciate it very much. Thierry de Jong, who's down that way in SoCal, saying, shame about Marina Del Rey, about the California, Cal Yacht Club, as it's well known. Mm-hmm. And I've spoken there, Julia, I think, probably more times than any club. Tom Lewick, my longtime friend, would invite me to do an annual talk there. Tom, the father, he really founded, he founded Scuttlebutt, and his son Craig now runs it. So I've spoken at that club a lot. It's a fabulous club. And Julia, you lived in the marina when you were working in LA years ago.
Yeah, and it was always a stop on any trip we took down the coast from San Francisco. And they were always wonderful to us. Woo.
Indeed. And there's some members back and forth between St. Francis Yacht Club and other yacht clubs because LA is a popular, as you say, stopping off spot. These are photos variously from the LA Times. My daughter Meg sent us some from the LA Times this morning. Firefighters worked overnight Monday to extinguish a blaze that erupted at an historic yacht club in Marina Del Rey. The LA County Fire Department received a call around 11:30 p. 2330 Monday for a structure fire at Cal Yacht Club in the 4400 block of Admiralty Way, said Fred Fielding, a fire department spokesman. Crews arrived to find heavy smoke and fire engulfing the two-story building, fire officials said. There were a couple of firefighters hurt.
This fire that destroyed a local landmark overnight.
The California Yacht Club has been in Marina Del Rey since the 60s. It really is iconic. It's a landmark. NBC4's Lauren Coronado is there with the latest on the investigation and this news conference that just wrapped up. Lauren.
Lynette, Adrian, good morning. We just talked with a firefighter who tells us the two firefighters who were injured while fighting the fire were released from the hospital. They're doing okay this morning. They're recovering right now. And the California Yacht Club right now, some members have been dropping by, checking in on their boats and loved ones of the family, the Hathaway family, the family who built the yacht club in the 60s, were heard trying to comfort them as they watched the club burn last night.
We love you guys. I can't believe this. I can't believe it. Like, that's so fun.
A heartbreak for Steve Hathaway, who says his father helped build the California Yacht Club in the 60s. It was founded in LA County in 1922. The fire sparked a little closer to 11:30 last night. The firefighter I just spoke with says people, perhaps staff, were inside the club at the time of the fire. They called 911. Firefighters worked to put out the flames and keep it from spreading to the nearby dock and row of boats. Now, it's not clear how the fire started. The cause is under investigation. Reporting live, I'm Lauren Coronado for Today in LA.
That report, obviously, courtesy of Channel 4 in LA, the NBC affiliate there. as they said, they don't, it's too early to tell for sure, but it's not unusual for fires to start in restaurants and clubs and elsewhere in the grease-laden kitchen. Yeah, exactly. So who knows? There have been some speculation about the club having just changed hands from the family, the Hathaway family, whom I know well or knew well. Steve Hathaway is still a good friend. He was there in that video, in fact. And the club is a mess, a wreck. These are photos that my daughter Meg, I'm not sure where she found them, but they're all over the internet.
Yeah.
Mark Reed says that his son lives just down the street from the club, and it's
oh gosh, it's
a total. It's just gone. And we'll see if they've saved their trophies. And I mean, it was a fabulous clubhouse and lots of history. Julie, as you said, it's been there since the 60s. That is that clubhouse.
Yeah.
It's founded back in the 20s.
Yep.
And the same family, this Hathaway family, owned what was the club in L.A.?
California.
No, not the club in L.A. that somebody on one of the Fozzi will know. And a sports club downtown, the Downtown Sports Club.
Oh, not the Olympic Club.
No, well, it was the Olympic Club, in fact. I think that's exactly right. And I'll tell you a story, a little off the record story. I guess when I write my book, it'll be in the book, so I'll tell you now. That's the footprint of this beautiful facility in Marina del Rey. You can see the parking lot. There's and this is a luxury in all over the place, the clubs everywhere, but they've got a big parking lot. They've got an inside parking lot in here, beautiful clubhouse, and this fantastic marina, and dry storage over here. They launch boats, whether they're for small boats like lasers and star boats for bigger boat regattas and so on. It's a beautiful facility. This picture courtesy of Scuttlebutt. And there was an article in Scuttlebutt last year in about, I think, April of 2022 saying, that the club had been sold by the Hathaway family to some developers. And there was speculation that they really wanted the club to go away, which has fueled all sorts of probably irresponsible rumors about what may have happened last night. I suspect it was probably just not a routine, but
not unusual.
Not unusual. Yeah, exactly. So Marina del Rey, this is their fantastic footprint. And I just tell you one thing about the club, Julie, I'm not even sure if you know this, but when Larry Ellison was negotiating for a club through which to challenge, this was in the early aughts. Mm-hmm. We had done the KR challenge through St. Francis Yacht Club. Larry had bought the team, and now we're negotiating. I was one of the first people that joined his team, was asked to join his team. And Melinda Erklands, myself, a couple others are negotiating, trying to figure out where to do it. And one of the ideas, in fact, it was my idea to call up Cal Yacht Club because they are owned by a family. They controlled it lock, stock, and barrel, the Hathaway family. Didn't have to have a board, didn't have to have a separate sub-board like the Royal Yacht Squadron has had to set up. And so you go do a deal with the family. Right. And you'd say, if we win the cup, we want to do this, that, and the other thing, write it all into a contract. We'll pay you some money to the club for that partnership. And I called Tom Lewick and said, hey, wouldn't that be fantastic if Cal Yacht Club, it's the second biggest, if not the biggest, I can't remember, between New York and LA, second largest media market in the country. Yeah. So we were back and forth, and Tom's checked with the Hathaways. I didn't know them then. And sure enough, they were interested. So I flew down, took Melinda and a couple others, and we sat and had a dinner the night before, beautiful dinner. And, we'd done some drafting ahead of time. Then we had a big lunch and we negotiated. It was a hard, tough negotiation. You're dealing with a billionaire on our side, and you're dealing with a very wealthy family, long establishment family in LA on the other side, with the next generation taking over. Steve Hathaway and his sister, whose name escapes me, were taking over, and they wanted to, I think, to show the dad that they could do a deal and a good deal. Right. So long story short, we were just about done. We had a handshake agreement, and there had to be some dotting of T's and crossing of I's, but it was a done deal. And their side, if I remember well, got up and went out.
Mm.
and came back in. They said, okay, we're ready to do this, but we want another $1 million on top of what we, and it was a substantially, shall we say, beneficial to them agreement already agreed.
Right.
We want another $1 million. Just if you really want this that bad, do this. And it was the daughter pushing her way and showing her, ¿Quién es más macho?
Right.
So our side got up, went outside for about 2 seconds, and came back in and said, sorry, we had a deal.
Yeah.
We're not going to be held up by you like this. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, we'll be in touch. And we basically went to LAX and flew back to San Francisco.
Right.
And long story short, that was the end of it. Tom Lewick was not amused because it could have been one of the best things that ever happened, not only to Cal Yacht Club, but also to sailing.
Right.
In the LA basin, in that part of the world. So it was not to be. We never did get back together. And then in the meantime, Norbert Byron, who was the Commodore over at Golden Gate Yacht Club, saw this back and forth between St. Francis and our machinations down with Cal Yacht Club. He called up, and Bill Erkland, Melinda's husband, who was our team operations manager, was running Larry's Sayonara program, the big boat program. And the deal was quickly done with Golden Gate Yacht Club.
Yes.
For a lot less money than what it was going to cost at Cal Yacht Club.
Yeah.
So that's the story there, the backstory about the America's Cup and Marina Del Rey and Cal Yacht Club. I
didn't know all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think I had told you the gory details, but it's a fabulous club. As I say, a lot of you know people there. A lot of you have been there, I'm sure. Anybody that's passed through, fantastic spot. Andrew Pindar saying, I used to use the hotel beyond there at the end of Admiralty Way. Yeah, there's a number of hotels there, and I would stay.
There used to be only one, though.
Well, there are plenty now by now. And I used to stay at Tom Lewick's house, which is just around the corner. We'd go over there for a nice dinner or go to one of the restaurants down the street. Lots of good restaurants in that Admiralty Way row. Gruber saying, I don't like how they make the 60s seem like a long time ago. Well, it was. That television report said, it was established back in the 60s. Not the Jonathan Club, Bill Porter. It was the Olympic. It was there we go. Glenn Van Heel's got the LA Athletic Club. It was the Athletic Club. Thank you, Glenn Van Heel. That was the name of it. It was, and we'd done it. We'd had a dinner there. In fact, the night before we were having the lunch. In fact, the dinner and the lunch were at the LA Athletic Club. Now that Glenn has reminded me of the name. James Frederick Bland, a rare Tuesday that he's in attendance. I've been sampling every GI and respiratory virus making the local rounds.
He gets exposed to a lot of them.
Hope you're better, JFB. Lunabos up in Sonoma. Stingray, I am so surprised you made a deal instead of with the mechanic. Alistair Murray said he used to stay. I think Tom Lewick, in fact, at one point I had the record. There was a guest book there, and we'd always, Tom and Barbara always make you sign in. And then a guy who was the leading stayer there passed away, and I slowly overtook his number.
Who was that?
A guy who used to sail up here and publish up here. His name escapes me at the moment. Rob, somebody will think of it. I was connected with Latitude 38. So. A great story, Tom. Just one book, a lot more history. No, I got to wait till a few more people die. I'll do my book.
So he can tell all the truth.
Stingray says, I have the book, The Billionaire and the Mechanic. I think I have that here somewhere, too. I don't know if it's here in the studio anywhere. It used to be. We used to prop monitors up with it. But let's carry on here. That was the sad news. And that I thought I should lead the show with, even though our main news is the retiring of Jimmy Spithill. We'll get to that in due course. Last Tuesday, on Tuesday's show, we told you on the 8th of December about, in this segment of This Day in History, about John Lennon, who, of course, passed away in 1980. So 43 years, Julia. 43 years ago, this past Tuesday. And I failed to mention, even though we all knew it, we've even discussed it here on the show. So let's talk about burning the lead story, J. Frederick Bland. John Lennon was a sailor, and not a big sailor, but he apparently loved to sail. Apparently his dad and his grandfather, maybe his great-grandfather, all sailed. And Imagine, which was he rekindled his career really on that song and that album. But I was reminded after the show by Ben Nichols, maybe during the show. Did I run that slide during the show?
Yes, I did see that.
I think Ben Nichols sent that to us, and I ran that slide. So I did a little research, and several of you helped, but John Lennon sailed to Bermuda through a storm, screaming sea shanties and shouting at the gods. Apparently, he grabbed the wheel when everybody else, or was assigned to the wheel when everybody else was seasick and went below. The captain of the boat had gotten, well, I don't think he was seasick as much as he'd been on the wheel for 30 hours through the preliminary storm and then the storm. And he finally said, I got to go sleep. I'm dangerous. So Lennon took over and apparently steered the boat through the rest of the storms, and obviously successfully, because they got to Bermuda. He and Yoko and whoever else were there with him got fired up about we can do that.
We can do anything.
We can do anything, and maybe I should rekindle my career. And he was inspired to write some songs and did the album. What was that name of that album? Yeah, Rob Moore, Alistair Murray, thank you. Latitude 38 guy, thank you, Alistair. He was the guy who held the record staying at Tom Lewis for years.
Yeah.
So that's a nice article from a year or two ago. What was that, 2020? In Salon, on salon.com. About, and I commend it to you. I learned a lot. There's several other articles. He did an interview in Playboy, the famous Playboy interview, Playboy magazine interview back in the day. And this was the boat. This is the boat. The boat's still around. It's on the East Coast, owned by, I think, still some folks who live in the Washington, D.C. area and cruise it to Maine every summer. Are very proud of owning it. It's a Hinckley 43, now named Jubilee. Megan J, which was the name of the boat when Lennon chartered it and sailed it to Bermuda into, what year was that? It was, in fact, Julie, it was earlier in the year that he died.
Oh.
It was like in May, I guess.
Yeah.
Of the year he ultimately
And they said that was 80.
away. So that was 80. Double Fantasy was the name of the album. I think we got the rockers coming on.
Yay.
Beauty. Yeah, it is a beauty. Can't go wrong with a Hinckley. And the boat's apparently been beautifully maintained.
Looks gorgeous.
Has been hanging out in Bermuda as well as on the east coast of the U.S. 19. Everybody's got it. And I'm guessing Spithill was born the same year as Lennon's passing, but he can't missing nearly as well. Jimmy is 44 years old, so nearly so. I think he's 44, right? Not 100% sure. Okay, so that's just a follow-up on Tuesdays, this day in history. What about today, Julia? What happened on this date in history? Tomorrow, actually, the 13th of December. If I can't find anything interesting on our current date here in the Northern Hemisphere and in the U.S., then I'll go look for Australia or New Zealand. And here is a clue. First of all, it was 1642. And here is another clue.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
No, 1642, not 1492. In 1492, Columbus, no, this is a different gentleman. 1642.
It's got to be...
Here's another clue. See if anybody's got that. Nice show. Nice to take a break from the mainstream media. Yeah, thank you, Joe Cool. John Marshall might have been at Hinckley. Yes, he was at Hinckley around then, Bill Wingrove. Good point. It is the 13th at Sail Sydney. Yes, it is. It's the 13th in Australia and in New Zealand. And I'm showing you a clue. Nobody's got it yet. This might help. That is Abel Tasman National Park.
Oh, is that when he came upon the yet to be...
Go ahead, spit it out. Go ahead.
Australia, the continent.
Close, and not
Tasman.
not the Tasman Sea, not Tasmania. Here's another clue: the Abel Tasman National Park is in Nelson, and those of you who know New Zealand know that Nelson is on the north end of the South Island, beautiful part of the world, as most of New Zealand is. The first human got eaten by a turtle, a stingray. Nobody else is. We're obviously missing your lawyer. David's not on, Julia.
Oh, no.
He would get this. I'm surprised some Kiwis wouldn't get this. In Nelson, in New Zealand, and that, of course, is Abel Janszoon, Tasman, Dutch explorer, Dutch seafarer, Netherlands, 1603 to 1659.
Oh, is it circumnavigation of Australia?
No.
No.
We're on New Zealand, Julia. I've showed you New
yeah,
Zealand.
sorry.
I've showed you the the South Island, Nelson, the Abel Tasman National Park. On this date, going once, going twice, there it is. There's the answer. Tasman sites New Zealand, the first European apparently to sight New Zealand, 1642. Rob Fry, who is in Auckland, he got it, discovered New Zealand. Dutch explorer Abel Tasman sights the South Island of present-day New Zealand. Initially, he calls it Statenland and changes it a year later to New Zealand in the Dutch spelling. Mm-hmm. That's what happened on this day in history, the 13th of December, down under, 1642. Okay, Rob Fry, ding, ding, ding. He gets that one.
Yay.
Julia, I just want to thank you before we go any further. And thank you very much. We replaced the lily we had with...
It's not a lily.
the orchid.
The orchid.
I always call them the lilies. We replaced the orchid. We had in honor of my beloved mother over there on the stand with one of your beautiful red...
Poinsettias.
Poinsettia. You say poinsettia or poinsettia?
It's spelled poinsettia, but I've always said poinsettia.
We could ask if it's correct or Crutonic, but I think we'll skip through that. But that's a very nice piece and an addition to the studio. Thank you. And may I ask, Julia, then, what was celebrated Sunday and yesterday? And since it was celebrated on Sunday, it gets moved to Monday, like a lot of holidays do. What was celebrated? And here is your first clue. Any idea? Have you been there?
Looks like the roundabout in Rome.
It does. It's a roundabout, but it's a long way from Rome, a long way from Paris. Chris Fury is saying, I first learned to sail at the Aurora Sailing Club in Nelson. But moving ahead now, what was celebrated Sunday and Monday? That is called the Democracy Monument in Bangkok. THA, as John Emmett and others will know, is the Olympic code. Not BA, not Buenos Aires, I think Rick Banner was referring to. That is Bangkok, the Democracy Monument, which was built in celebration of their Constitution Day. National holiday in Thailand is held annually on December 10th. If the 10th is on a weekend, the holiday is observed, like a lot of countries do, on the following Monday. Mm-hmm. This holiday commemorates Thailand's adoption of a constitutional monarchy back in 1932. Now, this for Stingray and for Jody Shields. How is the Constitution Day celebrated? Well, the pride in the monarchy is a key element of the festivities of Constitution. They've had a bunch of constitutions, by the way. Every time there's a coup, it seems like there's a new constitution, although things have settled down a bit now. Parades and fireworks are common festivities on this day, of course, and images of Thai kings are displayed across the country. Makes one want to have some chicken pad Thai or shrimp pad Thai for dinner tonight, Julia.
That's a good idea.
It is a day when the people of Thailand will thank the monarchy for granting them the right to run their country. Now, that is a different outlook on life. The monarchy granting the people the right to run the country. Our outlook is quite a bit different than most of the other.
And the king is still there.
The king and I. What was the country called before
Siam?
Siam. Who played the title role in The King and I? In The King and I.
Yeah, right.
Who played?
The famous.
And famous.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, well, we'll see. Stingray says that architecture does the king's justice. You'll be, Rick Bannerow's giving you a clue.
Oh, yes.
Rick's got it right. Yul Brenner, Todd Ryman's got it. Maura, hello, Maura. Andrew P. Yeah, they've all got it. These guys are so smart and so quick. So I just want you to note this very last sentence. All government offices and schools will be closed, of course, and then there is no alcohol ban in place on this holiday. Did you know that Thailand has an alcohol ban? Used to have it all the time, but more recently they've relaxed it. And on a day like their holiday yesterday, it's completely relaxed because in 72, an announcement by the Revolutionary Council during Field Marshal, Kitty Cochorn's, I don't know, tenure decided to restrict the sale of alcohol in shops to certain hours only, reportedly because many civil servants were failing to report to work due to hangover. People were permitted to buy alcohol between 11 and 2, so lunchtime, and again from 5 to midnight only.
Mm-hmm.
But the rule was not strictly enforced until convenience stores started mushrooming across the country, and then, of course, it tightened up in 2015. But international airports and entertainment venues and special holidays like yesterday, they relax the ban, but it carries on.
I've been in Thailand quite a few times and once for a month, and I don't remember any alcohol ban.
Well, you were probably in private fancy hotels, and they probably
not a private, but not so fancy house.
Banro is saying, are the last words of the Thai Constitution, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. John Emmett apparently says he apparently knows that they've had a real U-turn on cannabis. Is that a turn away from it? Kojak. Thanks, Graham Sweeney. And Krasimir Naumov is on. Hi, all, long time no see. Thank you, Krasimir. So in any event, for all of you in Thailand and beyond who celebrate, happy Constitution Day.
Indeed.
In THA. And happy Sailing Illustrated Day, every day Sailing Illustrated Day, especially for those of you who contribute to us. Thanks for your support. It helps keep us on the air. If you want to join that list and growing list of supporters, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. We appreciate all of you. Our show today, the main news, we'll get to it in a minute. It's been one hell of a ride, Jimmy Spithill saying after announcing on Sunday that he's stepping down from racing, from being an athlete, quote unquote. But he still hopes to run a team. We'll tell you more about that. But in the meantime, let's get to John Emmett and the Coach's Corner. Another interesting report from John, who's in sunny Weymouth, talking about transnational.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Glad you can join me today on Weymouth Beach for Coach's Corner. So one of the most important things about being a coach is empathy. So on a very personal note, would like to really congratulate Marcus Lynch as his new appointment. I think in old terms we'd call it head coach. And I always try to put myself in somebody's shoes. Now, the first thing I would say is, big picture, it's very normal to recruit people from all walks of life and all different backgrounds to try and get the best person for any given job. And I think if you look at a wider context, perhaps that's really obvious. There's a lot of good, well, I say that I'm biased, but there's a lot of good British coaches. So a lot of different countries employ British sailing coaches. If we look across wider sports, maybe if you wanted table tennis or ping pong, whatever you want to call it, probably you'll be looking for a Chinese coach because they do very well in that sport. So as a management, I would always be looking to just recruit the best possible person who's available at that time. And of course, there's a lot of debate about what makes the best possible person. And I've said many times on the show, I think things are often more about a good fit rather than one size fits all. But I wanted to personally wish Marcus, the very best of luck in the future. And just to say, give him a chance, because I imagine if I was in his shoes, and I have to a certain extent been in his shoes before, I would really want people to give me the chance and to support me. So if he turns up in a role and everyone's sort of saying, well, why didn't we employ a US person? That makes it harder for the individual to perform and to deliver what they want to. So yeah, you've got to be forward thinking and positive and make it, open the person with welcome arms, give them the best chance. Because say if I was in that position, I'd find it harder to deliver the job if everyone was saying, well, why haven't we got whatever the home country as coaches. And, you know, if you look at the British sailing team, the Olympic manager, for us, you know, that's not a Brit. We recruited somebody who's not British, and, you know, we had a fantastic last Olympics. And I think in elite sport, that is perfectly normal. I do hope you guys can hear the joys of being on Weymouth Beach. There's quite a few dogs really enjoying the sea, and I guess barking to tell everyone just how much they're enjoying it. But yeah, I think elite sport, very normal to have different people from different countries come and fulfill different roles. And if you take that onto micro level, you know, if you're looking for an ILCA coach, or you're looking for a NACRA coach or whatever, you want to find the best available person, and you don't want to limit yourself by you know, narrowing the box down unnecessarily. So very best of luck to Marcus. A couple of events going on at the moment. We have the Asian qualifier going on, which I think is you know, the beginning of the end for a lot of people with their Olympic program. Wishing everyone racing there fair racing, and may the best man / woman win. And of course the Youth Worlds, we talked about this a little bit in the last show, and I do think, you know, you look at who medals at this Youth Worlds, you look at the names, and you may well see those individuals in 6, 8, 10 years time really performing on the international stage. So again, good luck to all of them, and your comments and everything really welcome, and I look forward to seeing you all on the show.
We got to read some more of these comments.
I know.
It is so impressive, this Stingray, how much John Emmett is starting to resemble Salvador Dali. I don't think it's anywhere close to that, Stingray. What's this about Sweeney's brother being in the Guinness Book of Records for table tennis? I wonder what that's all about. Worse. It's not that he's being herded off the beach by the dog at his 6. It's worse, Border Collie. He is likely to be herded off at any moment. Holtzman Joe in Colorado wants some background. Well, yeah, the surf, Joe. We've got the surf in the background. Scary dog. People love this stuff. Sometime, Julia, we got to commission somebody to go up, and without ruining his mic. He's got his mic pinned to his shoulder, to his collar there, to his shirt. We don't want to ruin his mic, but somehow when he's got maybe his mic boomed, like our mics here are boomed in the studio, the shotgun mics, we could get somebody with a big Gatorade bucket and go dump some water over it and run it on this show.
No,
we don't want a dog biting his leg or anything.
Oh, awful.
Huh?
No,
we don't want him falling
Joe.
off when he backs up and he's doing his walkabout.
No.
This is quite hardcore on the beach in Weymouth during December in a polo shirt. Must have been a pretty nice day. But thanks, John. Terrific stuff as always. Much appreciated. His mention, again, we told you on Tuesday about Marcus Lynch, the Brit via Germany, who went to Germany and was coaching there as well, who, by all accounts, I keep hearing good things about him. We're going to hope that he does a terrific job. He, as John hinted, John was not, he was not completely, I've talked with John a little bit about this too, but John hinted, the guy's got to be given the authority, not only he has the responsibility, he's got to be given the authority now to deliver. And let's see if he does, because U.S. Sailing, I won't go into a rant about U.S. Sailing.
Graham Sweeney says, it's assumed that the Chinese would be best at table tennis, but in 1977, my brother and his team played
table tennis nonstop for around a month.
Yeah, right.
The comment moved on you there.
Right.
Hello, everybody from the warm, no ice on Lake Erie or anywhere near Toledo. That's in the Great Lakes area for ice. But well, it's only December 12th. It's, Julia, when I grew up in Michigan, we might be able to skate along the edge of the lake, not really play hockey because you'd lose the puck off the ice. We might, at Thanksgiving, we might have a little bit of ice along the very edge of the lake, but not out in the middle where the wind was blowing and so on. But usually we didn't skate on the lake till after Christmas.
Yeah.
And now that it has definitely warmed up a bit, now whether that's a trend or a cycle of let's don't get into that.
No.
Okay, let's wish this guy luck, Marcus Lynch. Thank you, John, for mentioning him, and we'll keep an eye on all that because, again, as I said on the Tuesday show, I'm sure he's a great coach, and I'm sure the coaching program will, as under Malcolm Page, the Aussie who ran it, and even Paul Kayard, who coordinated everything, coaching and fundraising, that benefited from those gentlemen's leadership. And I agree completely with John. I don't care if he's a Brit. I don't care if he is a German. I don't care if he's a bloody Antarctican. Is that a word? I don't, care if he's from Mars, if he can deliver and do a good job, and understanding that he's delivering something next summer is all but nigh impossible. But maybe given the chance and given the support, the question remains: who's going to do the fundraising? Who's going to do the big, heavy-duty administration? And we'll see if U.S. Sailing, who have not been able to manage their way out of a paper bag anytime recently.
And they ought to separate those functions so that whoever is doing it can do it full-time and hard.
Well, U.S. Sailing has separated the functions. That's part of exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's part. And the problem is there still has to be somebody in charge thinking about Olympics, thinking about money. How much do we need to raise? How do we apply that money? Who do we,
Right.
And so an overall CEO of Olympic sailing, which was Kayard was supposed to be.
Right.
And we'll see. No Bucks, no Buck Rogers. Good point, Clayton Embley. Andrew Pindar, Steve. Yeah, okay, I'm going to get into it. What you can't do is have the non-sailing CEO sitting in Bristol, Rhode Island, negotiating between the fundraiser and this guy, Mr. Lynch.
Yeah.
You got to have a person who's full-time on the Olympic program, fundraising the whole enchilada.
Right.
Well, surely no one is thinking that he can do anything for Paris. Right. I think, Gordon Smith, that you're spot on. What's Pindar say? Oh, they're talking about the weather. And Holtzman says, in Colorado, we're playing hockey on our pond right now, 4 inches thick and getting thicker. Okay,
wow.
Good for you. Joe, I want to ask Julie, if Joe is playing hockey on the pond. Joe's your age. I don't think he himself, but he's fit. He might be. You never know. Okay, Mr. Lynch, good luck, Marcus. I'll get Marcus on the show just as soon as we can, but he's got a lot on his plate, no doubt, right now. Thank you, John Emmett, for your regular reportage again today. And we'll look forward to his report on Friday. Jimmy Spithill, it's been one hell of a ride, he said on Sunday after he announced his retirement. We'll get to that in a minute. But as John also mentioned, the Youth Worlds are going on. They're just underway in Búzios. Beautiful. Have you been to Búzios?
No.
It's a fantastic part of Brazil. And it's a fabulous venue for yacht racing, for sailing, and that's where World Sailing and the Brazilian Sailing Federation are running the Youth Worlds. Started yesterday. Have a look.
Welcome to Brazil. Today is the first day for the World Sailing, Youth World Sailing.
There is a good windy. I think that there is a big flood and for a good nation.
This year is very special to us because it is in our home country, so the environment is a little bit more familiar to us. The conditions for the championship, we will be expecting good conditions, better than today.
Beautiful part of the world and a beautiful country. And John Emmett has coached in the Youth Worlds. I coached the U.S. team in the Youth Worlds 79, 78, something like that. Yeah, I was in Italy. And what was the name of that town, the port town in Italy? And I was the head coach for the only coach. Before we leave the B block, I will change the slide here, but I want to just say, Julie Aarons, we have not yet. I just haven't gotten down to the post office, but I will ship this to you. This, the Alistair Murray Yachties Are Hotties shirt, which you won by agreeing to donate to the charity of your choice. You won from Gordon Smith, who got it from Alistair, and all three of you deserve special credit. We will send that to you. Yes. In due course. I want so bad one myself, but I'm not deserving, Alistair. Julia?
Yes.
I'm looking back here in the back. Here, this is opening up.
Yep. This is the Advent calendars gift
from the Gillinghams.
Yeah.
In Leamington, in the UK. So we open one each day. In fact, we should probably go back and open up the ones.
Yeah, wild blueberry.
Hold it up so we can see it on the. You gonna open it? Dip your finger in. Ooh, smell it. Mm-hmm. Ooh, taste it. Better yet. Ooh, sound effects. How is it?
Really good. But I cheated because I've had a couple earlier ones, and they're just all of them are different. And all it has a little something different about it, and they're all good. So we thank you.
Okay, we do indeed thank you, and all of you sent other things. Gordon Smith's package, Banneros. I showed these the other day. Banneros. I'm going to stick these up as soundproofing here in the studio, help deaden the walls where we have sound reflecting here. And Banneros sent that, and Gordon Smith sent his package. It's just fabulous that the Fosey held. And Peter Taylor.
Oh, yes.
Just a reminder, he sent us that. You got to take that upstairs. It's out there on my bar.
Oh, I will, quickly.
Here at the Beach Street Yacht Club.
We talked about that today on a text. And I didn't say that I'd rescue it from you, but I will. You
should rescue it. I'm not drinking, so. Stingray saying there are big lakes around here that froze thick every winter, but in the past 3 decades or so, never do anymore. The climate is changing. Well, it is. And again, whether it's a trend or a cycle and what the responsible party is, and sure, there's some carbon in the atmosphere and we need less of it. It's a pity an extra L shirt might be a bit large for Julie. We'll have to find a large friend. It's a very good brand of French conserves, Gordon Smith is saying.
Oh, yes.
What's the name of it?
Bon Marie.
Bon Maman.
Bon Maman.
I'm looking around in the back there. Bon Maman.
Yes.
Okay, Bravo Zulu. We'll get into the B block here. And Bravo Zulu to this fabulous finish in Dubai over the weekend on Sunday in the final 3-boat race at Sail GP Dubai. It was the Kiwis there on the left, pipping the Aussie, skippered by the retiring Jimmy Spithill, went back to his home country. And Phil Robertson steering for the Canucks. I guess I can say Canucks. That's not a pejorative. It's a nice expression that we use for the Canadians. My wife's a Canadian. I won't tell the joke, Julia, I promise. So Dubai Sail GP, that was the final results. New Zealand winning, Pete Burling and co. Australia with Jimmy Spithill on the wheel, second. Phil Robertson in Canada, third. Quentin Delapierre, fourth. And Ben Ainsley struggling again in the middle of the pack, fifth. Nikolai Sehested, sixth, representing Denmark, of course. Sebastian Schneider for Switzerland, seventh. Taylor Canfield, which some people thought was not a good performance, but I think considering they were basically all new, at least in their positions, including Taylor on the driving, as Sail GP calls it, eighth for the U.S. Eric Heils continuing to struggle for Germany. And Diego Botín, who may be the least consistent person in the sport up and down and has had some crashes. And they all kind of stay away from the Spanish because they are never sure what's going to happen, Julia, the Spanish. So that's the top 3 there in the result. And note that who won in Jeddah the weekend before? Pete Burling and his team. So ETNZ, I would say, is on a roll, having won in Jeddah, having won this event as well. And, I think he's just getting warmed up for next year's America's Cup. That is Pete and the rest of his superb team. I'm going to play a video. Julia, it's 8 minutes and change long, but it's a particularly good wrap-up video. You know, these videos are a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then some of these wrap-up videos are just cut and paste from the original telecast, and if you've watched it, not much fun. This video is really cool, hosted by the gal whose name escapes me, is the Off the Water commentator, and they've gone around and interviewed people in the team bases. They've interviewed people in the post-race interview zone, and I think you will find this video quite a bit more. That's too long of an intro, so here it is.
Welcome to the debrief for the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix presented by P&O Marinas, and once again this venue delivered. A huge congratulations to the New Zealand Sail GP team. That final was absolutely heart-stopping. We didn't know who won, they didn't know who would have won, but finally New Zealand took the victory. I'm going to walk around the tech site and see how it went for all the sailors and how they felt it was sailing here in Dubai.
Oh, there's going to be protests here, Todd!
This is the umpires. Penalty Canada, penalty Australia, not giving mark room.
Canada crosses the line. Now who turns the boat? And it looks like the Emirates winning moment will go the way of the Kiwis.
I don't know. There's lots to be answered. Craig Mitchell's going to decide this.
What a final that was, and pretty impressive the Canadians were able to sneak into it and almost upset the party. They were first across the line, but unfortunately finished third. Let's sneak on in and see if we can grab someone to chat to. He's got a hose. It might be a bit dangerous, but I'm coming for CJ, the newest member of the Canadian team. Hey, how you going? Well, first question. You told me you had to keep Phil calm, and if you kept him calm, it was going to go all right. Yeah. How do you reckon it went?
He was calmer. He was reasonably calm. I mean, we've still got a long way to go keeping him calm, but yesterday I got really stressed as well, and yeah, I mean, it was a pretty stressful moment, wasn't it? But yeah, hopefully we put on a good show, but shame we didn't quite get that last, give him one more metre on the outside there, but yeah, it's good.
It was a pretty hectic final. I know you guys everyone was just trying to do everything. You crossed the line first, and then did you know you didn't have it? Yeah,
so we got the penalty pretty quickly around that buoy, but we couldn't exactly stop because we've got the Aussies one side of us and the wall the other side of us. So actually our hope there was that the Kiwis were going to get a penalty off the Aussies and that we'd beat the Kiwis over the line and therefore get second. But yeah, I mean, there's a million things we should have done differently, and it was a little frustrating having, you know, being in the position we were in at the last windward gate. But yeah, you've got to be happy with how we did this weekend. You know, we're a new team. We haven't sailed together. We haven't done any 4-up sailing together, and we were changing a lot of things race to race. And yeah, I haven't raced with Phil for 3 years, so yeah, it's awesome. Everyone's happy, but a little frustrated.
Well, it was awesome to see and glad to see everyone pushing, and we'll see you soon in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, see you soon.
Thanks, CJ. Cheers. Well, the Australians, they almost were able to clinch that event win. They almost didn't make the final. It's quite busy in there at the moment. Someone's doing a team-based tour, and if you are actually at an event, you can do these tours and get your tickets, but we'll leave them to it. But lucky we did chat to Jimmy in the mix zone.
Yeah, look, honestly, I would have liked to have gone out on top. That was the goal, and I really wanted to contribute to the Aussies. But, you know, I gave myself a goal coming in here I wanted to get just a consistent result for the Aussies, not give them any penalty points, not do anything stupid, just a good, clean regatta. And I feel like I've achieved that. Clearly, I would have liked to have gone out on top, but look, it's been one hell of a ride, and to really complete the circle now, finishing out, you know, as a Sail GP athlete with Australia, feels right.
Well, I'm here in the New Zealand base, and as you can see, nothing's happening here and no one is to be found. I think they might be partying over in the Adrenaline Lounge and celebrating that win, so let's head on over there and see if we can grab one of them. Well, Blair, we had to pull you away from the champagne, but thanks for chatting. Congratulations. It must feel really good.
It really does. That's amazing from the team. You know, it's been a tough few months, that's for sure, and yeah, a huge amount of resolve, huge amount of grit, and epic way to do it. That was probably the best finishes in Sail GP history, and to come out on the right side of it's yeah, pretty awesome moment.
And it was awesome to see. I know obviously the 29-metre wing was, you know, a tough decision really to make, to put it back out there. What's your thoughts on putting it back on the racetrack?
Yeah, well, I think as a team we actually sail really well on the 29-metre wing. We have done, you know, for the last year or so. We've shown we know how to set it up, how to make the boat go fast with it. You know, but at the same time, it's been a strange time where, you know, we know what's happened. Some of the things haven't quite been resolved yet. So, you know, being the team that had it fall down on us today was tough. And you know, we spoke last night, just regrouping, so gave each other confidence that we know how to control it really well, and you know, sort of put that side of it behind us this morning and focus on the racing. So yeah, it's not easy, but I think that potentially it brought us closer together, and you know, we did an awesome job out there and kept fighting right till the end, and paid dividends.
And obviously the sailing team is super critical, but we know you've got some really good support on shore with the new coaching station. How was it with the guys on shore talking to you and feeding you information and helping you clinch that win?
Yeah, Razor and Josh on shore did a great job. You know, we've seen it kind of transitioning that way of having the booth set up for the last few months or the last few events, and you know, we want to take full advantage of that, and you know, the other teams have got great people in there, and we wanted to do the same and utilize our people the best we could. And yeah, we're still learning. There's a lot we you know, still ironing out and figuring out the details, but we're yeah, couldn't be happier to have those two guys sitting in there and helping us out. They did a great job, and you know, we're going to keep building off this foundation.
I appreciate your time. Go enjoy the celebrations, and we'll see you next event.
Sure will. Thank you.
Thanks, Blair. Well, it was a heartbreaking finish for the Emirates GBR, and I've spotted one of their superstars, Hannah Mills. Hannah, oh, must have been really tough to finish that way.
Yeah, it was really tough, to be honest. We didn't think it was a black flag. We didn't think it was dangerous at all. Yeah, so just a bit gutted, to be honest.
A couple of them have been dished out lately. Do you think umpires are getting a bit excited, or do you think the fleet's just pushing harder?
Oh, I don't know. I think, you know, there's a real difference between a barge in that's dangerous and one that's not. And yeah, for us, it just felt a bit harsh.
And I guess trying to not remember that race and try to remember all the other ones, you must be happy with how the team's sailing. I know the result doesn't really reflect that.
Yeah, we felt like we really came out today. You know, we were gunning for getting into that top three, and unfortunately didn't quite come off. But yeah, we feel like we've been really stepping up this weekend.
Well, I'm excited to see you in Abu Dhabi, and happy Christmas and with your little Sienna.
Thank you.
Well, with plenty happening this weekend, I want to chat to our CEO, Russell Cootes, so I'm going to head in and see if we can catch him. Well, Russell, that final was epic. I know you're probably happy the Kiwis won, but that Australian team, it goes to show that they can still deliver without their leader, Tom Slingsby, under pressure.
Well, they're a great team. I mean, they are the team to beat. And, you know, they had changing out the driver and almost winning the event. It shows how good they really are. The Kiwis sailed well. You know, I think they just kept their nose in the game in the last race. Really, I think Phil Robertson opened the door for them. You know, if Phil hadn't have been so focused on the Australians, I think he probably would have won the you know, that race, you know, and won the event. But you know, Phil sailed well in this series. By the same token, I think Paul Campbell-James coming on board. So far, the chemistry looks good, and they'll be very, very pleased at that. You know, I mean, changing out your wing trimmer is another dramatic change, and to come in and almost win the event, you've got to say impressive.
Let's take a look at how that impacts the Season 4 Championship. Australia maintain their lead on 52 points, with Rockwell Denmark behind on 41. In third, New Zealand creep back up on 40 points. Emirates GBR are in fourth, followed by United States in fifth. Spain holds sixth place. Canada are in seventh. France close behind in eighth place. Sebastian Schneider and his Swiss team are in ninth, and Germany round out the leaderboard in 10th. Well, that's it for the debrief here in Dubai. What a blockbuster of a weekend it was. I hope you enjoyed the racing. We will see you soon, January 13th and 14th, for the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix, presented by Abu Dhabi Sports Council.
See, I liked everything about that video. I've gotten a couple texts from people saying, oh, this is boring, it's too long. But you know what? For a promotion of our sport, and if you're not going to sit there and watch all weekend long,
yeah,
and get up, in our case, at what, 3:30 in the morning. I can't remember what time it aired live. 2:30, was that it? You know, it's a big ask. I'm going to stop here for a second, because while that video was playing, it allowed me to get on and look at the people who are watching the show who don't comment necessarily.
Yeah.
And there are a couple dozen people here watching, almost all of whom I know. I want to recognize a few of them. Kelly Fennessy is here.
Ah.
Kelly is a St. Francis member.
Yeah.
She's also a Cal Yacht Club member. So Kelly, we're really sorry to hear about your Cal Yacht Club. She's a past Commodore.
Yes.
Of Cal Yacht Club as well. Ralphie Steitz, Alan Woodyard, Brian Marshall, Pat Schollard Painter. Well, I grew up sailing against Hi Pat and had a thing for her at one point, and both of her sisters, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Irene Carley, Elizabeth Murphy, who used to be my executive producer when we were both working for Oracle Team USA, and she would keep me in line. Patrick Dyer, Anthony Chalmont down in Fort Worth, Texas, and lots of other people. Welcome to all. Paul Erickson, Jack Sangmeister is here, and the beloved Fidel Menon down in the USVI in St. Thomas, whose husband Henry and I did a lot of rules work together and jury work and so on. And nice to see there's a whole lot of other people who come on and don't comment, so we're never sure if they're there or who else is here watching. Go ahead.
I was struck by a comment that John Emmett said that there was a question about the black flag and why it was thrown and all that. And John Emmett says the decision for black flag is made by the computer. Simple.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. At the end of the day, the guy who's the chief umpire has to make that decision, and he does. And the computer will indicate it, but they still have some judgment call on that. The question, I think, the more interesting, that's a good point, Julie, thank you. The other interesting question is, did Baton Rouge is saying, Baton Cannon is saying, is the race committee croutonic for placing the leeward mark so close to the seawall? It was a bit tight, but and by the way, that was Lisa Darmanin, not the sailor girl who some of you thought she might have been doing that.
Right.
Okay, I enjoyed the video. I like that format, like the style, and I'm happy that we played it for you. A little more on Sail GP before we leave it. Russell, who of course is the CEO, and his comment, I think, was quite interesting, and he said basically that Australia's ability to swap drivers and almost win shows how good they are after the Dubai final. And I agree completely with him. That was going to be the big question mark for this series. Could Jimmy Spithill go from the middling American team, where he hadn't had much success as the driver, as the skipper, as the helmsman, skipper, and then go to this very finely tuned up Australian team and have the same success that Tommy Slingsby has enjoyed? And basically the answer was
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Very interesting and instructive.
Indeed. And a nice, I think, observation by Russell. Now, Jimmy, the big story, of course, was his retirement, which he announced after the racing on Sunday. And as usual, the best article, there's tons of articles all over the place, down in New Zealand, down in Australia. But our Fozy, the esteemed Bernie Wilson, writing for the Associated Press, gets the story, I think, as well or better than anybody. And he writes, Jimmy Spithill announces retirement from Sail GP after racing after the he's retiring from Sail GP racing. Let's make that point.
Yeah.
Because the speculation is he's going to be running, owning, helping run another team, notably an Italian team. He retired from Sail GP racing after the Australian catamaran he was helming was edged by Trans-Tasman Sea rival New Zealand's Peter Burling in a photo finish at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix on Sunday. There is a lead. He gets all the facts and figures in a coherent sentence. Bernie's the best. Burling poked his 50-foot foiling catamaran across the line just a few feet ahead of the Aussies' Flying Roo after a tense final mark rounding on the Persian Gulf that included Canada's Phil Robertson drawing a penalty. It was Burling's first win since the Season 4 opener in Chicago and denied the three-time defending Sail GP champion Aussies, not Jimmy, the Aussies, their first victory of the year. Spithill, subbing while friend and countryman Tom Slingsby is on paternity leave, said he's retiring from racing to focus on running an Italian team that he plans to debut in season 5 of tech baron Larry Ellison's Global League. Again, another one of these sentences that says a lot with very few words. And anybody can understand it, whether you're a sailor or not.
Yes.
This is my last race as a SailGP athlete, the quote is from Jimmy. It's a time for me to let fresh, young blood into the competition and with the new Italian team where I'll take the role of CEO, Spithill said. And, okay, so that's an announcement, too. He's saying he will be the CEO of the new Italian team.
A new Italian team.
A new Italian.
Oh, could there be two?
No, I don't think there could be. And what a way to go out with the Aussies, Jimmy is saying. Now, for you and myself, Julia,
yes,
you remember him as a 7-year-old.
Yes.
At the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club when you were down.
And his older sister, Julia.
Who's probably a better sailor. He's got 2 sisters that are good sailors.
I only know about one, and she was the great sailor. She was 11.
And Jimmy, I've known since the 2000 America's Cup when he was sailing for Sid Fisher in Auckland. That's where we first met him, and I helped him out with some rule stuff because they didn't have a rules advisor. And K-Art said, yeah, go help them out. They need some help. But, the guy's now 44, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's 24 years ago for me, and you've known him longer than that. You've known him 38 years or 37 years, something like that. So it is, it's a bit of a moment. That's why I led the show with it. I didn't lead the show, but I made it the main topic. Spithill left Team USA 2 weeks ago after it was sold to a private American group whose investor, which we've told you about extensively, whose investors include Alabama linebacker, that's the University of Alabama college football linebacker Dallas Turner, and actress Issa Rae, among several others. Bernie writes, quote, it's been one hell of a ride and I'm going to miss the battles and the competition, said Spithill, an Australian who makes his full-time home in San Diego, not exactly a neighbor of Bernie, he lives out in East County, but close enough, with his American wife and 2 sons. They live in Point Loma, above San Diego Yacht Club. Beautiful home. It's a full circle moment for me as it's been over 20 years since I raced for Australia, so it feels fitting that I end my SailGP athlete journey on board with the Aussies. A couple more paragraphs here. Spithill said the 37th America's Cup next fall in Barcelona, more news, will be his last, as a couple of you said in the comments above. He's the co-helmsman of Italy's Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli team, which lost to Burling's Emirates Team New Zealand in 2021. Spithill is best known for skippering Ellison's Oracle Team USA to consecutive America's Cup victories in 2010 and 2013. I might add editorial that, of course, from our Fozy and Super Fozy, really, Bernie Wilson, living down in San Diego, writing for the Associated Press, as he has done for many
I really admire his writing, always, even in non-sailing, non-sailing topics.
And that's high praise coming from a journalist.
It is.
Who went to Stanford.
Yes.
At least you always thought of yourself as a journalist.
I started out my life that way.
Do the coaches talk to the crews while they are racing? No, I don't believe so, Ed. It's not like F1 where they've got radio contact. I don't believe they do. I'm going to work from the bottom up because there's so many comments, guys, and I know you like it when I read from the top down. Well, I'll go up to Stingray's comment. Jimmy was all the more impressive for how he was able to, what? Keep the, yeah. You could hear Jimmy complaining that the NZL ignore the luff. Good evening, Tom and Julie. That's Christopher Gillingham. We just thanked you, Christopher, for your advent calendar. Still working and watching fair winds. Good to see Jimmy hopefully moving on to new horizon within the sport and beyond. Stingray saying it will be a long time before a youngster tops Jimmy in sailing GP. Exactly. That is a good point. Jeff Kitson, I normally set my alarm and watch Sail GP live. Yes. If you watch the AC, there is some real ITA talent, Emmett is saying. Yes, indeed. And that was his Marcus Gardoni? Was Mr. Marco Gardoni? who helmed beautifully in the weekend before last in Jeddah. Stingray saying Spithill is a legend. Sounds like AC37 Barcelona will be his last AC2. Yeah, well, that's what we just read that quote in Bernie's article. Replying to Stingray respectfully, hasn't Burling already done that, or do I misunderstand your comments? Gruber is saying, yeah, I think you do misunderstand. I mean, I think that it's just when the guy's stepping down and going into the Hall of Fame, ultimately. Jody Shields, yeah, they have full contact with, they do.
Oh.
I didn't know that. Jody is saying they don't play that like they do in F1. Yeah, they have full contact with teams during racing. Okay, thanks. That's
and
news.
what do they say? The wind is coming from southeast at so-and-so?
Well, that's a good question. That's a very good question, Julie, because how much outside assistance can they give? And it sounds like they can give a lot, but maybe they can only do it from onshore. We'll check into that, and maybe some others of you on here know, as often is the case. Julie Aaron saying that Bernie's writing is precise and concise. I'd add the word cogent there.
Mm-hmm.
What do these pro sailors do when they retire? Fritz Mueller is asking. They do shows like Sailing Illustrated. I
yes.
don't think so. No, they keep racing. They'll be in demand for years and years and years as helms in the Sydney to Hobart, in other major races, offshore races and beyond. But, Jimmy's got teenage kids now. So getting off the treadmill, getting off the world circuit, I'm sure is going to be welcomed by his kids and his wife and so on. Okay, there was a couple of other comments here that were funny. Couldn't they find more green paint? One of you sent me this photo, or maybe I found it on Facebook. Why couldn't they find more green paint? Well, the point is that Jimmy also has a very lucrative relationship. He is a
Red Bull.
He's a Red Bull athlete. He's a Red Bull ambassador. So he is making, I'm sure, a few bucks from that and other endorsements as well. Yeah, Julie Aaron's agreeing cogent is a good word too. Many move into coaching and management as Jimmy is doing. John Emmett, good point.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, John Emmett is still racing and coaching and managing. Jeff Kitson saying, what do they do? Write books and go recreational sailing with that too. Good point, Jeff. Thank you for that. A couple of videos. This is Jimmy in his own words about his retirement from the mix zone in Dubai last weekend.
Yeah, look, honestly, I would have liked to have gone out on top. That was the goal. And I really wanted to contribute to the Aussies. But, I gave myself a goal coming in here I wanted to get just a consistent result for the Aussies, not give them any penalty points, not do anything stupid, just a good, clean regatta. And I feel like I've achieved that. Clearly, I would have liked to have gone out on top, but look, it's been one hell of a ride, and to really complete the circle now, finishing out, as a Sail GP athlete with Australia, feels right.
And how do you see your involvement with the new Italian team coming?
Oh, I'm really excited. I mean, again, there's so much talent coming through. And, our focus right now is to make sure we're on the start line for Season 5. But we're seeing a lot of interest in the marketplace. A lot of guys and girls contacting me already from Italy about being involved with the team. So, yeah, I think we'll have a competitive squad for Season 5.
Okay, well, we'll see how that all goes. I hope it goes well. I hope Jimmy ends up as the CEO of the team. I don't think it's a 100% done deal yet. Time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's another video just that Sail GP put together. It's a brief video, a minute or so, of kind of the cool moments. There's, frankly, too much crash and burn. I would have liked to have seen more of Jimmy on the boat doing things over the years, but be that as it may, here's this video.
Mm.
You're in trouble, Emily.
Yeah, Julia, you might call that the F-bomb video. I'm sorry about that language, but you know, it does happen, of course, from time to time, and there's no beeping there, and I'm not going to sit here and beep it myself. I'm too old, too lazy.
No beeper.
Well, we do have a beeper. I can beep you and me. You go ahead, but I don't have a time delay to be able to say, oh, I better beep that.
Yeah.
The coaching has morphed. This is Jody Shields' comment. Coaching has morphed into an off-the-water strategist. They have full access to all the umpire apps and where other teams are on the track.
Wow.
So I think that's a good point. I don't know that they can feed them wind information, that sort of stuff, but we'll check that out. It's a good question. The F-bombs be a-flying, Rick Vanderoo said, yeah. I got to, before we end this, with Jimmy retiring, what is the future of Sir Ben? Will he be next? And again, I mean, Ben's a big boy, and he'll do what he wants to do, notwithstanding what I think he should do, which I've said now any number of times. He needs to step down and run these programs, because neither the programs nor his racing seems to be all that flash, as you Aussies and others in the Commonwealth might say. So we'll see. Is Sir Ben now? We'll see. I don't need to say any more than that. So that's our SailGP. It's been one hell of a ride, Jimmy, and bravo Zulu to you. Congratulations. He's, besides a good, great sail, you win the America's Cup twice. That's 2 more times than most everybody ever. And he, having done campaigns, those 2 campaigns in particular and others, the guy's just a hell of he's a physical, tough, hardworking athlete, but he's fun and he's funny and gives great press conference. And if somebody else doesn't do it, maybe I will go gather up the Jimmy Spithill most famous clips. And Don Lunabos, I agree with you. Congratulations, Jimmy, on your career so far. That he's probably only halfway through. We'll see. He does it for another 20 or plus years in some capacity. I'm sure he will.
Yep.
Okay, Julia, I'm not going to quite leave SailGP yet, because this finish that we've been looking at and talking about, I got to ask the Fozy if this final finish, if you thought this whole thing was correct or croutonic, this final finish, race finish in Dubai, specifically the commentators and the fact how interesting this was, that it was not about going 50 knots or even 40 knots. It was about displacing and going at the speed of an Etchells. Sailing Anarchy today let me back that up. Sailing Anarchy ran an article yesterday, I just saw it this morning, called Snail GP.
I saw that.
And an anarchist, who is like a Fozy for Sailing Anarchy, they call themselves anarchists, which I don't quite like, but that's not my bailiwick. A guy called David wrote this. He said, the irony was inescapable. For years, and I'm asking you all if this article is correct or croutonic. For years, the SailGP hype has been all about speed. The TV commentators screech at us endlessly that the boats are sailing at incredible velocities, in kilometers per hour, not miles. Yet what has been by far the most exciting moment in the whole 5-year history of Larry Ellison's Flying Circus? ? The finish of last Sunday's final in Dubai, when the 3 catamarans crossed the line within seconds of each other at no more than walking pace. So much for the, quote, need for speed, unquote. Emmett's already saying close racing is what makes it interesting. This article goes on. It says, New Zealand took the win by literally a few inches from Australia, with Canada a close third. The result was in doubt all the way up the final leg, and even during the short bearaway to the finish. Those of us who find SailGP artificial and overblown nevertheless enjoy the drama of a genuine sporting contest. Supporters of these modern sailing formats, and the current America's Cup boats in particular, like to tell us how boring it all was back in the days of the 12 meters. The races were too long. The yacht's too slow. What they forget is that speed in and of itself, is irrelevant to a race. What matters is who has the skill and daring to seize the moment and sail better than their competitors. In the Sail GP series just concluded, all the high-tech go-fast stuff in the boats counted for nothing. They rarely managed to lift onto their expensive foils. The teams might as well have been sailing Etchels. But reduced to the simple essentials of the sport, they provided a slow-motion contest that delivered real excitement. There's surely a lesson in that, signed anarchist David. So I ask you, is he correct or Crutonic? Julia, you, as usual, get to go first.
Oh, that's not fair. But I was thinking, in whose eyes?
Your eyes. Well, your eyes and anybody else you want to.
Well, because if I were sailing in it and had a great interest in going fast, I'd think one thing. But I'm more interested in going smartly, I guess is the word I'm going.
Smartly, not fast.
Yeah.
So you think the article is correct?
Yeah.
Wow, you took a position. Whoa, Julia took a position here. Let the record show. Julia took a position on one of these correct or Crutonics. Go ahead. You can.
No. I mean, I who knows?
Huh? I mean, I can give some sound effects for that. Huh? That deserves wild applause, Julia. She took a position. Fog Machine, I didn't know any SA denizens could spell with a K. The thrill of the suspense, fast or slow? Yeah, I think you are right. Hi, Andrew McIrvin. I saw that you were on.
Hello, Andrew.
Andrew, I appreciate very much your help on all fronts this week and beyond. Steve Gruber is correct. At least the Sail GP boats still function in H1 and even H2. The foiling models are completely useless in D mode, in displacement mode. Right on, Julia, and you look marvelously dressed today. Oh, my God. Joe Cool is trying to schmooze up to you. Yeah. Ed Worley saying, great sailors place the boat on the right place on the course consistently against the odds. I was looking for a correct or Crutonic for most of you, but you're all giving these great comments as usual. Morris Stevens, I missed the sail changes and the crew work. In my opinion, the article is correct. I can guarantee you more of my late great mother would have said the same. Replying to Alistair Murray, agree, but what if they came in super hot? It could have been carnage. Yeah, but it might have been interesting. I agree with Alistair. If the racing is close and fast, that's maybe even better. Graham Sweeney, my point is that sailing rules do not fit with foiling craft, but that's another show.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's like iceboarding rules are different. Right. So. Stingray says, I know who anarchist David is. This is a comment up above. He said, and he has an opinion based on Australian big boat circles. Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. Their frame of reference, Julia, as we learned this week from the presidents of certain Ivy League colleges. Yes, it all depends on the context.
It does.
Your frame of reference. No, it doesn't. And those three.
In that case,
it was Crutonic, saying that it depends on what the definition of is. I remember that one too. Rob Fry says it's Crutonic. He likes the speed, the need for speed, and others do too. So it's.
If I were involved in the sport directly, I think I would say the same thing.
But as a fan, as a watcher,
yeah. But I have no visceral reaction to it. Yeah.
There is. I'll make this point. I think the article is largely correct, and here's my point: is that it's hard in Formula One. And by the way, though any of you who know Marquez Brownlee, who's the YouTube tech commentator and the guy guru, and he's been on YouTube now for quite some time. Young guy from New Jersey, and he's just done a fabulous piece on F1. He went to Las Vegas. He saw how cool F1 is. And he helps, he gave a video that I think is the best explanatory video on F1 anybody's ever done. We need that kind of a video from somebody like Marquez Brownlee on our sport, because he helped the uninitiated understand F1. And that's, I won't run it's way too long. It's 20 minutes, but those of you who are YouTube-ites, go to YouTube and look up Marquez Brownlee. Many of you will know him as this fabulous, good tech reviewer.
Yep.
And he's got 17 million followers. He's one of the biggest and best, not only biggest, but best on YouTube. But the need for speed is one thing, but being able to understand what's going on at speed makes our sport very difficult.
Yes. And
part of the reason I think people like the 12-meter speed or the slower speed that we saw at the finish in Dubai is that you can see it developing, you can anticipate the development, you can anticipate what you would do if you were in the boat and what the teams may be doing. You can then watch as it develops and whether you are right or not, and maybe other things happen you didn't anticipate, or maybe it plays out exactly as you did anticipate. And then it happens, it wraps up. And when that's at 50 knots, you miss all that stuff.
That's true.
And that's one of the great things about, I'm sorry to say this, no, I'm not, about American football, gridiron, American football, is that you have a play and then you have a replay. You have a play and then a replay. Hockey's my sport, ice hockey, it's so damn fast. Most people can't keep up with it, and they turn to baseball, which is too slow.
Yeah.
Or cricket, which most people think is too slow. But then you get something like American football, or even tennis. You have a serve and a volley, and maybe you have a longer rally, and then you have a replay to see the key thing.
Yes, but replays are wonderful.
Replays are wonderful. Okay, did I articulate my position? If Sale Ed Worley, I'm going to give the last here to Ed and to J. Frederick Bland. F1 complicated, go fast, turn when you, when you need to. If Ed Worley's saying if the Sail GP boats were traveling at a high speed at that close and constricted finish line, well, Ed, I mean, if it was breezy, they wouldn't have set it that close. Let's be fair. Sailboat match racing is chess on the water. I saw Julie Aaron say the same. Gridiron is crotonic too, Rob Fry. Okay, but the same for rugby, except rugby's kind of continuous, which I like as well. NASCAR routinely has close finishes at 200 miles per hour. Is that thrilling? Ed Vetrano saying. Okay, good points. Good point. A lot of smart people on here.
Absolutely.
As usual, Julia, we always say.
I learned from them every time.
The FOSI.
Yes.
And as long as you're learning, life is worthwhile.
Indeed.
Right? Even at our relative advanced ages. Okay, so let's look at the standings now going into the next event. So at the end of this event in Dubai, Australia, as we said, up on 52 points. And Jimmy, doing a good job keeping them on top of the heap. Nikolai Sehested in second. New Zealand in third. Emirates GBR, Ben Ainsley in fourth. And then Taylor Canfield, he's in the hunt. And again, that team they had a new skipper, they had a new flight controller, they had a new this, that, and the other thing. Now, they've all sailed, most of them have sailed on the boats. Most of them have been involved, but in this role that they were serving on the team, this was new. So I actually think they did pretty darn well. They didn't crash into anybody. They finished in the middle of the pack, other than this crotonic team. Oh, no, come on, guys. Come on, Taylor. Come on, Mike. Lighten up. Who's the guy? Second, third. I mean, this guy's got a bit of a smirk. He's saying, I can't keep my face straight. She's looking. Okay, come on. This can't be that serious. Everybody else looking pretty serious. Relax. They all look like they've got,
They're tough.
Huh? They're tough. They look like they've got gas or worse. Okay, I do think they did well, and I think Bravo Zulu to them for a pretty good initial performance. The next event in Abu Dhabi, mid-January, the 13th and 14th. Presented by Mubadala. Mubadala. I had to learn how to pronounce that when they sponsored the event here in San Francisco.
Right.
Mubadala. Everybody else says Mubadala.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi, January 13th and 14th is the next event. We'll look forward to that. One other piece of SailGP news is that the New Zealand event, which was to be in Auckland, is now going to be back in Christchurch, where it was last year. They were going to alternate between Christchurch and Auckland, but Auckland pulled out. So SailGP is returning to Christchurch for the March event, 23rd and 24th of March, 2024. Okay, I have a new segment, Julia.
Okay.
You're going to like this segment.
I'm sure I am.
And we'll see if Stingray has got his pencil and pad of paper ready, because I've asked Stingray. I asked Clark Chapin, but he's busy with family. He's got his fam family there. He's got the grandkids and so on. So we have a new segment. It even has some music, a little ethereal, because we're doing a poll. You know what those two letters are, those two code flags?
Yes and no.
F and P. Foxtrot and Papa. So this is the new SI segment we're calling the Fozy Poll, Foxtrot Papa. We're going to put a question to you. We're going to ask you, it's a bit like Ed Worley's thing, but that's a quiz. That's quite a bit different, a little different. This is a poll. We're asking you to say A, B, or C. Which do you think is your favorite, this, that, or your least favorite? In this case, what is your favorite pro sale event? Is it SSL Gold Cup? We've just been through all three of these events now. SSL Gold Cup, A. SS Star Sailors League, SSL Gold Cup. Is that your favorite pro sale event? Is it B, what we just saw in Dubai, SailGP? Or is it C, is your favorite pro sale event the America's Cup, which we just saw in Jeddah? But the America's Cup, generally speaking, not just Jeddah, don't hold it to that, but what we expect to see in the AC 75s next October, November in Barcelona. A, B, or C? C is the America's Cup, B is SailGP, A is SSL Gold Cup. And we've got some Stingray, hopefully, keeping track. Banro says B, Ryman says B, Alistair says C. He still likes the America's Cup best. J. Frederick Bland Boomer saying D, none of the above.
Yeah.
John Collings, hello. John saying B, hello. Look at all these comments coming in. Chris Fury, I hope you're writing these down, Stingray. Ken DeVerne, hello, Ken. Martin James, oh, look at it. We're dragging some people out of the woodwork, too. People who are lurkers.
Yes.
Clayton Allen Embley, AAAA. Graham Sweeney really likes that Gold Cup. SSL Gold Cup, and lots of C's from Groover. Orley saying he likes A as well. Gordon Smith says, no way can I. Why? Gordon, tell us why you can't answer. I'd like to read your answer. What about the Super Series? A good point, Andrew McIrvin. Do we like, and I could have put that in there, and that is definitely a pro circuit, and it's definitely worthy of being in this list, and I will rerun this another time or add that. But I was thinking more of that as a big boat event. Although it is a big boat event, it's still around its buoy racing. Good question, good point. You got the Aussie 18s. We could have added that in. We could have added, one or two WMRT. David Fuller saying, which kicks off today.
Right. Oh, we should add them and do it again later.
Good point. But of these three, will it have the America's Cup sailors, for the most part, sailing in these three? These are kind of the America's Cup style events, if you will, of late. Proper match racing, had a friend in the last event, and Stingray is going to add those up, the A, B's, and C's at least. And Stingray still is shy. He doesn't want his picture displayed, but that is
his Stingray.
Stingray.
Gorgeous.
And his girlfriend, he calls his girlfriend the Stingette. And he is now our SI pollster. At least he is taking the the pulse of you all who've given, and he's biased. I just wanted you to know he submitted this prior to today's show. He said, I already predetermined the vote. I'm tallying this. I'm the official tally. A, he doesn't like it at all, Star Sailors League. B, the America's Cup, he doesn't like it at all. He's got the ABC wrong. But he likes B on my list. Sail GP has everything. Fastest boats, best pro talent, lots of events, perfect TV production. 747 votes, he says. Okay, that's tongue-in-cheek, obviously.
Yeah.
So let's see what all of you think, and we'll see what Stingray comes up with, and maybe get back to that when he gives us a tally from your submissions there in our first ever poll. And maybe we'll do another poll and ask you which is your favorite, for example. Well, I'll consult Andrew McIrvin on big boats, big picture events, and maybe do that again. We sure got a lot of responses,
Yes.
Julia. What did you
Well,
think of
that's good.
that?
Well, that's good.
Fog Machine says Sail GP and America's Cup are so far ahead to tell them apart. It's so hard to tell them apart. If you include the SSL and Stars, great event. I knew it was going to be rigged as soon as I found out Stingray was the judge. Is this a real POLE, Joe Cool? Okay. That gets us, thankfully, to the last leg. And we've talked that the World Match Racing Tour is underway. And you talk about cool videos. James Pleasance has done one himself. He is the host. He's the commentator in this video. Just released an hour before we went to air about the WMRT event, the final year-end event about to happen in China. Have a look.
Here we are in Shenzhen in China. This has been a few years in the making after the closure of many countries around the world during the global pandemic. It's our 23rd year of the World Match Racing Tour, and we have 12 of the top match racing teams here for the week for the Shenzhen Boan final of the World Match Racing Tour.
We're leading the tour, and we've had a good season so far, and we're hoping to continue that consistency and deliver a strong result and be in the fight on the last day.
Having events in Asia is not something we've done much of in the past, and that's the real opportunity here. Bringing the sport of sailing to Asia, particularly to China, and growing the appeal and interest in sailing.
It's the first time that we are in this place to sail with these boats. So far, it's a great experience.
Venue's good. It's a new venue for all the teams, and it's a bit shifty, but I think it'll be a challenge for every team equally. So it'll be about how well you can read that course and, staying in phase and staying in pressure.
We're very excited and honored to have been working with the People's Government of Shenzhen and also the local sports bureau here in the Boan district to really make this event happen. They've been super helpful in doing it, and we're looking forward to a really exciting week in a new venue, which is a new challenge for the sailors as well.
Yeah, you could say some of the same things about China that you could about Jeddah and a few other places, but China's a force to be reckoned with. James has been working on this for a long time. It's light. It's another one of these venues that we take the sport to because it's light, or because there's money, but it turns out to be rather light. And I hope they have some breeze. They speed the video up to make it look more interesting, but a cool video. James, well done. Yeah, Gordon Smith, again, you can't talk about China without also talking about human rights abuse. You can't, there's other countries, including our own, that are not perfect. So, okay, we'll see how that goes. I just want to also note that the World Youth Match Racing Championship, the Youth Match Racing Worlds, are going on at the Cruising Yacht Club in Australia. Our Fozy Jeffrey Peterson is there with the team and doing, at least he was yesterday, doing well. I haven't seen stuff from today because it's only, 9:30 down there on Wednesday morning. So we'll be following that. We'll cover that on Friday's show. What else here? I guess we got our reply from Stingray. There's that big paragraph. OK Sailing Illustrated tally of yacht racing event series votes. Wow. The Fosie's favorites in reality today. A, Star Sailing League, SSL, lots of skilled traditional boats, 1 vote. B, Sail GP has everything, fastest boats, best pro talent, lots of events, perfect TV production, 6 votes. America's Cup AC, leading edge of yacht design, rarely raced, 4 votes. Yeah, I don't know if you got all those votes, and I do know that Stingray, bless his heart, he does like Sail GP big time. And, you know, that's okay. But I also would say that I agree with Alistair Murray because of the history and tradition.
Yes.
You got 170 plus years of history and tradition. And what, 172 years now? Has it been since 1851? Doing quick math in my head, which is always a risky proposition.
Yeah.
But it has so many ups and downs, and the Cup right now is going through what some of us think is a downer, and a major downer for some of you. For others, you quite like it. And the fact that we're all still watching it, we're all still talking about it, and we always will watch it and talk about it, is probably why the America's Cup is the pinnacle event and always will be, and is my favorite pro sail event. And probably, what about you, Julia?
Oh, I love the romance of it.
Of the America's Cup.
Yeah.
Well, and as Bannerow says, the midget racers aren't the AC, which is what we've just seen in Jeddah. Those aren't the AC boats. I think that's part of the problem. Trying to do this circuit, this pre-regatta, at least when we did pre-regattas back in the AC, when I was Challenger, I was representing the Challenger record. We did it in old IACC boats. You had a bunch of these boats around. You did it in the old boats. Now that's a bit bigger problem in these boats. And of course, we now know Grant Dalton is trying to create an AC40 class. An AC40 class that's going to be owned like the Sail GP boats by private owners and go off, and maybe they hire Andrew McIrvin to run it, like, or maybe it'll run as part of Andrew's Maxi series. I don't know. I think that's probably the last thing Andrew wants to get involved in. Okay, let's get to into the D block here. Yeah, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. It is the season, thanks to Julia's plant over there, making our studio look a little more Christmas-like. I'll start adding the Christmas graphics to our slideshow on Friday. Trying to choose the favorite child. John Collings is saying, yeah, good point, John. And Whiskey Tango Foxtrot for today. This is a typical, what we think of as a redneck here in this country, a Southern conservative gentleman. A T is Tennessee, the University of Tennessee. Those are their colors, white. And that's quite a booming state these days. If your spouse is mad at you, buy a new sailboat. Somebody's photoshopped onto this, no doubt. They won't be any less mad at you, but at least you'll have a new sailboat. Huh?
Yes. He looks very much like somebody I know. It isn't, but it looks very much.
Who does it look like? Okay, somebody, who was it, sent me one. That's Bill Dance, famous angler. Oh, so Clayton Embley in Kentucky knows that. Bill Dance, and I actually, to be honest, well done. Okay, so these guys all know him. He's a famous fisherman, angler. Bill Dance. Look at that. How smart and aware our people are.
Amazing.
And you see at the bottom of this, down here, in the bottom, I cropped that. There was a fishing rod in the guy's hand. And I thought, oh, he's a fisherman. I didn't know who the guy was, although I should see Bass Pro Shops, which is one of the biggest outdoor shops, and it's Bass Pro Shops and something else, so you all will know, combined with some other shop. And people... Still, it's one of the big retail chains that still goes. That you go in there and buy stuff you can't buy on Amazon necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay, smart group. Who was it? Somebody sent me a picture of, speaking of Santa Claus, and the guy's in buying gifts, and he's at the counter, and he's doing gift wraps. He's bought an iron for his wife. And he's asking the lady at the counter, I think Graham Sweeney sent this, he's asking the lady at the counter to wrap this for you know, because he's giving this new iron to his wife as a Christmas present. And the lady behind the counter says, well, you ought to go back to their sporting goods and get a helmet because you're going to need that when you get home. Sweetie, now I've ruined it because I was going to use that Friday, but that was such a good joke. Now, here's a good one. I don't know who sent this to me. This could have been Joe Holtzman, and I may have gotten it from more than one of you. This is a caption contest, Julia, and it's not foul. It's not dirty, although when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be foul, just because I have a foul mind. Caption contest. It's clean. Anybody got a caption for that?
Floating carrot.
Snowman for sale, needs repairs. Cheap. Snowman for sale, cheap, I should have put in that lower third.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Carrot soup. Yeah, Groover's got. So there's some. This one, I love this one. This came from Martha Peterson, our good friend who sends jokes to her. She's got the biggest joke email list, I think. I smell chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Either that or Santa's stuck in the chimney.
I love Maxine.
Maxine! Santa's stuck in the chimney and his chestnuts are roasting on an open fire. Okay. That's Martha Peterson's joke. That gets us well and truly to the finish line as we push our way through. Yeah, Gordon Smith's laughing. He liked that one too. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to thank everybody for the very kind comments about the tribute to my mom the other day on the show last Friday, and it meant a lot to me and to my family, many of whom watched it and read your comments. So thank you very much indeed. Julia, it's that time.
Oh, yes. In the spirit of holiday cheer and giving, like, follow, and share.
Indeed. That's always a good thing to do, right? And as we say, comments are welcome too, even in replay. So many of you do watch it in replay. A lot of new people on here today.
Yeah, it's nice.
It was nice to see so many names. LF&S, Banner saying, yeah, like, follow, and share. Subscribe. It doesn't mean subscribe and pay money. It's you push the subscription button on YouTube. And speaking of subscribing, you can subscribe to Patreon. Become a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks a month. We appreciate it. It helps keep us on the air. Julia, any final thoughts?
No, I'm still thinking about the nice variety of things that we cover, and learn something from each one of them.
Well, and we learn something from the bloody Fozy.
Of course.
At every show. So we want to, again, it's fun to have such a bright, erudite, worldly, if that's the right word, and then you are indeed all over the world. Holtzman saying, thanks, Joe. Great show again, as usual. And Alistair Murray, thank you. I don't think I have one in the can from Alistair, but no doubt he'll be sending us an AAAA soon. And as soon as he does, thanks, Morris Stevens. Good to have you back on. And as soon as he sends one, we will air it as well. Maybe Ed Worley will do one for us as well. We're under an hour and 45 minutes today, Julia.
Yeah, amazing.
Bloody hell, that's pretty good. Hour and 43 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, thanks, everybody. Hope to see you on Friday. Have a great rest of your week, wherever in the world you are. In the meantime, as always, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.